Beabadoobee, singer, songwriter, fellow Filipino, world-renowned artist, and as of last week, an internet pariah. Hi again, guys, and today's topic is one I'm late to because it has a lot of moving parts, ones that move so fast, even the likes of Charlie Moist Critical, arguably in the top 10 most chronically online people to ever exist, had no idea what was happening. And I don't blame him, but as someone who still has a few weeks before they're officially pushing 30, I wanted to try and piece this together for you. And I mean, like, really piece it together. And still, it was a hard task even for me. I only really got as much as I did together because I can remember each rung on this long ladder that got us here because I saw it all as it happened. This video was a lot of retracing my own digital footprints. Okay, so if you don't know, last week on her Instagram story, Beabadoobee had what some describe as a crash out. I would describe it as not that deep. Even still, it had a ripple effect that someone committing murder usually causes.
Yes, but the fucking men commenting, artists who can sing vs who can't. Like, just tell me you don't get no girls. Just tell me, like, your mother didn't love you. Just, like, you might as well just say it.
There's more to that clip, don't worry, we'll be coming back to that. But for context, here's a pretty normal example of the videos that the artist who can sing versus who can't sing refers to.
Artists who can't sing versus artists who can sing.
Can't remember how to
None of that was edited, by the way. NBA YoungBoy can just do that normally. And I mean both his operatic acumen and shooting lasers out his eye. His heat vision was actually used by the VFX team on The Boys as visual reference for Homelander's laser eyes. Now, foundational to understanding this poop soup of a situation, before we get into the countless layers of meta-irony, is the concept that in reality, in real life, in terms of actual ability and skill, Beabadoobee can sing. Very well, in fact. That she can sing is the bedrock of this entire situation. This trend in its earliest stages were at worst backhanded compliments to the people it said couldn't sing. Beabadoobee, the world-famous artist, can't sing, where YoungBoy, an artist who isn't really even known for singing, is actually a classically trained theater vocalist. The joke is more obvious after watching the original YoungBoy clip they used. Unedited, I mean.
Searching for my ops. Hold on. I got my green ass on, trying to get egg. What's happening?
With all that in mind, I can definitely see why people felt that Beabadoobee overreacted. But to Beabadoobee's credit, she said that she was responding specifically to comments spamming artists who can't sing in her comments section.
Yes, you can't. I still got more money than you. And you're still a man.
And I'm going to take her at her word here for the sake of conversation. If you're personally not inclined to, please bear with me because I'm going somewhere with this. Either way you take it, these videos had people really outraged with the artist, criticizing her for a lot of the stuff she said as sexist, rude, or just generally uncalled for, considering what sparked it in the first place. And some people, feeling righteous in their fury, took this as open season on her. The tamest of some of this was her admittedly whimsical name getting butchered to stuff like Yabba Dabba Doo, Baba Yaga, BB Hell Drizzy, and Gobbledygook, among others. It pisses me off how creative some of these were, and on some level I understand that reflex. Most people who laughed at that TikTok trend understood the joke as, ha! YoungBoy singing opera, and that was basically where it started and stopped. So plenty of folks, seeing what Beabadoobee was saying, were probably caught off guard, feeling like they were being unfairly looped into a group that she was going off on and insulting, just because they laughed at it what was a fairly harmless joke. Hell, I'm sure even some of the people commenting directly on her page might have went, damn, I didn't mean it like that, this feels like a little much, just coming away miffed thinking, what's her problem? But none of this exists in a vacuum. Trust me, I'm about to explain way more of how we got here than you'd ever want to know. But in her follow-up, Bea said that the comments themselves weren't the whole issue, but it's rather that the amount of them she was getting was a tipping point for a lot of shit she'd been dealing with up to them. She may have said you're still a man and called you a broke, no-ho getting homosexual whose parents don't love them. I added the homo, she didn't say that. That's still a pretty big escalation from how most people were talking about her. But one that Beabadoobee said came in part from all the weird shit dudes were saying about her on the internet. And you have to at least give her this, that shit objectively exists and not in small amounts. It happens for every woman who gets famous in any capacity ever. Like, even if you feel what she said was uncalled for, on a ton of TikToks that just have to do with Beabadoobee tangentially, half the blue searches before she even responded was stuff like Beabadoobee Arch, and you can imagine it didn't get much better after the fact. And you know what? Bea really should have watched those videos before ranting about them. But I doubt she thought too too hard about the whole thing because she probably didn't intend for those Instagram stories to go as far as they did. We could go through her individual statements of mostly unedited ranting, how some of what she said contradicts other things she said or done. You know, the semantics of the sexualization topic. There's certainly a thread you can pull on there, but that's not really my point here. Her words weren't a finely crafted statement that had been logic tested to its limits. It wasn't a thoroughly rationalized and peer-reviewed op-ed on her personal viewpoint of the matter. It was like 6 total minutes of Instagram ranting. I think most would agree, including myself, it was still the wrong move. She said some uncalled for stuff, and it overall had the result of Streisand affecting the original trend, where the biggest consequence for many in this was Beabadoobee destroying her aloof and mysterious aura. I'm not arguing against any of that. I just want to say I kind of get where she's coming from on some level, and we're talking macro here. One of the big things a content creator or any public figure has to learn is that sometimes you don't need to speak on things. Even if you feel strongly or are riled up about something, sometimes you gotta put the phone down and get off Twitter. When you're riled up is often the worst time to talk about things in many cases, but even still, we are only human. We fail at that task both in public and in our private lives all the time, and sometimes there are lessons you have to relearn several times. So I want to extend a fair shake to Beabadoobee and take her at her word, because based on the content of what she's saying, I don't agree with it, but I understand where her reaction came from to an extent. And either way, it doesn't really matter how I feel, because the trend has exploded as a result of Beabadoobee's direct involvement. But now, instead of not being able to sing, these videos' intros have gotten a lot meaner.
Artists who can sing versus artists who can't fucking sing.
Rapers who can sing versus rapers who can't take a damn joke and should quit their career.
Artists who can sing versus artists who are a sexist piece of shit that can't take a single joke and blame everything on men and is also British and makes shit music for ugly ass people and should die.
Like, if you thought Beabadoobee was doing too much, nobody held back on her when clapping back. The trend is now one that every corner of the internet gets in on. From persona parodies to sports teams dunking on her to say one of their players is the person who can actually sing. The intersection of so many different things to create this perfect storm we're in was insane. The music comparison short form video has been around on TikTok for years. You have the song you recognize versus the song it's sampled from series by the one guy who points to the empty air next to his bald head. In that same genre of sludge, you have the direct artist versus artist comparisons. Some of these are neutral, like times artists have done a certain thing, but other times there is an air of competition. Hence the artists who do a thing versus artists who do not do a thing. This style of posting has existed for long enough that people see it as a medium, and when enough people are aware of a thing for a long enough time, it inevitably creates its own tropes in genre trapping. And as expectations get established, those expectations can now be subverted. Now you can go meta. It's awesome. The main TikTok account I follow who does this kind of thing is Music for Days. Thing is, they aren't doing artists who can sing or who can't sing all that often. They're more likely to make a video saying rapper who is evil by way of being short, Kendrick, versus a rapper who is an angel because they sent so many people to heaven directly, aka St. Vaughn. That or they were making abominations like this.
Hey, Mustard fans, I'm gonna drop a Christmas remix real quick. Here you go.
It's just complete and utter sludge. There's no way around it. With Music for Days, you have to follow every video that they make to stay up to date on the latest layer of irony. The St. Vaughn shit got so distorted at one point, you had folks quipping in the comments, "He's in there somewhere." I couldn't even get you started on all the in-jokes there are to know about this account. There's a new sound getting added to ear-bleeding remixes, from Kanye saying Aldi to like a random warbling screaming of agony. It gets so insular that you physically can't catch up to everything going on if you got on the train too late. The dude actively jokes about how he didn't fall off, he was just never on. How could he ever hope to be with what he makes? And sure, he's made the rappers who can versus can't sing post, but he's barely touched on Beabadoobee ever before. He's usually too busy calling Rod Wave fat when he made him. Then, suddenly, my guy has a new layer to add that plays right into the content he already made. He made a video about Beabadoobee not taking this TikTok trend too well, and boom, his most successful video in weeks because he was able to capitalize. And it kind of brings us full circle, the absurdity of this TikTok trend becoming what it is now. The rappers who can versus can't sing shit didn't start with Beabadoobee, it didn't even start with pop stars. It began with rappers being compared with other rappers, ones who can sing. Folk like Rod Wave, YNW Melly, Polo G, Fetty Wap, all people who can't sing compared to folk like 6ix9ine who can. I could find stuff about this going well back into mid-2024, and I personally remember seeing them way before that. I never saw this thing make a pop crossover hit it until like January this year. And it wasn't even with Beabadoobee, it was with fucking New Jeans. And the New Jeans one was even before YB started bending space and time. He was just doing normal opera performances back then. Beabadoobee started getting her name thrown around in these things around that same time, where that clip of her playing the guitar was just kind of the default can't sing part, before YoungBoy comes crashing in out of nowhere to steal the show. The irony runs so deep that it's now funny to reverse the dynamic entirely. YoungBoy is now the one singing the guitar ballad because he can't sing, while Beabadoobee is now the classically trained vocalist with laser vision. The family tree of this trend is wrought with inbreeding and Alabama love, despite how sprawling it can feel. And despite it all, you want to know the craziest part? There is only one common denominator I could find across all of it, and that would be NBA YoungBoy himself. He's the key, and he always has been, and I'm not kidding. To understand why, you need a crash course on how the internet treats him. Over half a decade ago, around the same time the earliest seeds of these videos were being planted, another powerhouse of culture was brewing. That would be the endless output and relentless fandom of YoungBoy. Whether you know it or not, that man is ubiquitous. He's everywhere. By the end of 2023, YB secured his 5th year straight as the most streamed rapper on YouTube. He was the 2nd most streamed on the site overall, surpassing even Taylor Swift and Drake. And his secret was sheer volume. From 2018 to 2023, between mixtapes and studio albums, both solo outings and collabs with other artists, YB dropped roughly 27 separate full-length projects. I believe he maxed out at 8 projects in a single calendar year. These full-length projects can get up to 20 songs long, sometimes longer, and that's not even counting his EPs, deluxe albums, or his equally frequent output in the years before that. The point being, if you like YoungBoy's music, there is a lot of it, and it helped make YB the youngest artist to ever net 100 entries on the Billboard Top 100. There was just a very long stretch where, as a YoungBoy fan, you were getting well-fed, never starved, and you could pretty reliably expect that it would only be a few months before you got fed again. It was easy to become loyal, a repeat customer even, of someone who treated you so nice. If you listen to YoungBoy, you probably listen to a lot of him because there's a lot of him to listen to. Hell, you might only listen to YoungBoy at that point. He became a part of who some people are, and we are nothing if not the sum of our parts. So what does having YB inside you make you? I can't play snippets here, so lyrics will have to do, but YB has a reputation. When you make a lot of music, you're gonna say a lot of stuff, so every now and then, YoungBoy says crazy shit, and he always says it like he means it. His family know he stepped on him. I wish I could spit in his casket. Riding little shorty like Luigi, hit it from the back, I'm just like, wee! I'll hit a dude's ass with the Drake with his baby in his hands. I walked in court dirty as fuck with pee up in my drawers. This 40 Glocka baby, you could say that I'm a child. You know what? Fill in the rest. Just wordplay. Don't worry, guys. I could go on. He's like one of the best artists you can make a real or fake lyric video about. You get the point. Whether fair or not, if you listen to that kind of music, there's a sort of reputation that comes associated with it. There was a whole trend of how YoungBoy fans do any given thing, even listening to YoungBoy. They have a certain way of doing it. There's a cultural identity both internally and to the wider world of what being a YoungBoy fan is, and it goes something like this.
There's better artists than YoungBoy.
Control better. What the fuck?
Gunna.
Control is better.
Thug.
Control is better than all of them.
French Montana.
What?
No matter how you write it down, it's 2 words, 4 syllables. YoungBoy better. YoungBoy is 1 word, by the way. It reached a fever pitch a few years back. If anybody said something positive about another rapper, whether it was an achievement, praise for their catalog, whatever it was, there was a good chance that someone was in the reply saying, why be better? And from the jump, the mix of people saying this was a lot of genuine YoungBoy fans and a healthy heaping of trolls, many of which probably never heard a single song from him in their life. News reports saying, it's official, why be better? There were other rappers who at some point had been hit with YB better allegations that played into it. And it's inactions from people like that that a blueprint starts to unfold of how Beabadoobee could have navigated the situation better. Megan Thee Stallion understood YB is better. Ratio. That's not to pit them against each other or anything, it's just like that went over well. YoungBoy himself played into the meme during one of his album promo cycles where he was putting up billboards that said, no features necessary. I mean, why would he if YB's better than all of them? Other artists like Lil Nas X, someone notorious for knowing what he's doing on this internet shit, used the trend to promote his own album.
Ratio. YoungBoy is better.
Nas and YoungBoy went on to have an unlikely song together too, where YoungBoy, the progressive that he is, came out in support of Lil Nas X's homosexual activities. And I think the absurdity of all of this is really highlighted in one image. Have you seen this man? This image of YoungBoy has got to be as well known as the man that's apparently in everybody's dreams. You had people replying to the 5th anniversary of XXXTentacion's mugshot saying, YB's mugshot is better. It has entered the hallowed halls of profile pics you'll see tons of random accounts have, alongside the likes of that one Shibe with a hat or Tyler the Creator's mugshot. I think, though, that YB's might be the most cannibalized one in history. They just made this guy into anybody and doing anything. They turned him into Donda era Kanye, Tyler the Creator, Ash Ketchum, Green Lantern, the Joker, a big troll face, and many more. And there are tons of other random pics of YoungBoy that get this same butchering of a treatment. Did you know that he is categorically Quandale Dingle? Still, that mugshot remains the most common, and all of it falls into that same inherent ambiguity that comes with consuming anything YoungBoy related. Where does the fandom start and the irony begin? Is it possible to convert from one side to the other? I mean, as far as soft power propaganda goes, it certainly worked on me. And with all that context, I hope NBA YoungBoy's involvement in this is a little less confusing. I'm sure it's not any less confusing for him. One of my favorite side gags of this whole thing is that YB probably has no idea any of this is happening. But we have another issue where everything I just talked about here is ancient history in internet terms. Today, YB profile pics are much less common, often just holdovers of somebody who forgot to change it, or oftentimes it's just bot accounts picking what is popular. People don't say YoungBoy better as a reflex nearly as much as they used to, and even the artists who can sing versus who can't sing shitpost was on its way out. It was dying. And then the Beabadoobee response made it come back full force and spiral out of control. And the craziest thing to me is that all Beabadoobee had to say instead to get the good ending was commenting, YoungBoy better. And imagine where we could have ended up if she did. This guy on Twitter, Spectre, is known for making song mashups, and he did 2 where Beabadoobee and YB hopped on each other's song. And both of their vocals work really well on the other person's track. Like, I could see them doing something together. Can you imagine if we had gotten an unexpected collab between these two instead of a flame war? I feel like that's still the cleanest way out of this for Beabadoobee. It's to find a way to make that happen, man. Honestly, it's not even for PR reasons anymore. I just kind of want to see it now. Beabadoobee got a lot of pushback over this, receiving even more of the same negative type of attention that set her off initially. Like, people aren't in her comments just saying she can't sing anymore. It's gifs of YoungBoy now. It's people dedicated to liking any vid shitting on her in a passive response to her crash out. You don't have to like her music, what she said, or anything she did or has done. But even if you feel that way, at the very least, I think it's fair to say she got the message at this point, right? I think her reaction came from an inherently human place, so growth as a human would be the good ending here, I think. And the internet's gonna take a chance to dogpile when it can. There are definitely more destructive things to do on the internet than what we discussed here. Ultimately, the real lesson is that Beabadoobee was just a casualty of the greater YoungBoy Never Broke Again war. This whole thing was always about something bigger. I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I'll see y'all next time.